Welcome to the Route to Recovery series. I'm your host, John Kmitta, Associate Publisher and Editorial Brand Director of SportsField Management magazine. My guest today is Chris McGinty. Chris is Superintendent of Parks, Maintenance, and Cemeteries for the city of Framingham, Massachusetts, and he is also Vice President of the New England Sports Turf Managers Association. Welcome, Chris.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good, good. Thanks for taking the time to speak with me. We're just trying to get an overview for people in terms of how various field managers are dealing with the pandemic. So I'm wondering if you could start off by telling us a little bit about your situation, about your fields, your parks, your facilities. Obviously, you deal with cemeteries as well. What kind of is your typical scope, your typical workforce, and how you've been impacted by this?
Well, I would say that, usually at this time of year, I'm running probably about 20 employees. And in the height of the season, I'm running 34, seasonal and summer help. Currently, I have 14 permanent employees that are on split shifts. There's an A week and a B week. And so people are staying at home. They're on call to come in at any point when I do need them. But the social distancing with the facilities I have has become an issue, trying to keep the numbers down to 10 or less. So what we've done is we've tried to use other facilities to, house the trucks and the equipment and things like that. What's really happened is because we're considered essential, employees by the Governor Baker, we are required to come in and perform the normal services that the Parks Department would do and Cemetery Division would do at this time of year, but only at a lesser, with less staff, excuse me.
Sure.
So it brings its challenges. I was able to secure a lot of my fertilizer, grass seed, and loam prior to the COVID stoppage on March 17th. Those purchase orders were, so those were filled. So currently, not on a day like today because we're rain. We've had a lot of rain here in Massachusetts the last couple of weeks. So I aggressively started top dressing some areas, but we first started out with deep tining and procoring all our fields. I have approximately 500 acres, 250 acres of active recreation. I support two colleges, a community college, and Framingham State University for their sports, as well as two high schools, the technical school and the normal Framingham City High School. So that includes all the different sports, spring sports, which, between lacrosse, baseball, softball, those sports, and track and field. I have 34 baseball diamonds. So as going forward, it's been very difficult and the challenge to be met is to keep those fields at optimum conditions. But through this aggressive aerating program and fertilization, and now we're out seeding when the sun's, when the weather's better, we've been able to start creating better playing surfaces. But the counterpart of that, no one is using it, which is, I think to the frustration of a lot of the people who are currently out and about, who are either, at home college students, high school students, and parents that are required to stay at home. So the challenge for us immediately was the tennis courts and the basketball courts. All my nets, we closed all the facilities off, and then people were starting to cut the locks, cut the chains. So we had to remove all our tennis nets. I had to take down all the basketball rims throughout the city. And then all the swings, we took down every swing at all of our parks. We have, at this point right now, I have signs at all my locations, and those signs are in 3 different languages, Portuguese, Spanish, and English. We have a large Spanish and Brazilian population here in the city of Framingham. I have the newest signs that they came out with suggesting the wearing the mace, the mask, the gloves, and social distancing, finding it very difficult for the 15 to 35-year-old age group to stay up with the social distancing and using the face masks. I got a complaint this morning from a woman who goes to our 65-acre passive area complaining about the social distancing and not wearing masks. And I really have no control of that. I've put signage everywhere. You'd almost need to have a police officer there constantly to monitor that type of, activity.
Sure. Have you done any sort of planning at this point to have the fields ready for when athletic play resumes, or is that not really in the thought process at this point?
No, we are. That's why it's been nice to aggressively, aerate and, seed and fert. We have a date now of May 14th, but I don't think that's going to be the ending point and starting point of the new year. We will have everything ready, all the, the fields for the, big league baseball diamonds that would be the challenge to the program, and the softball fields for our group permitted during the summer. This is the men's slow pitch softball league, the different city commercial vendors like Bose, Staples, those corporations that have corporate softball. We supply all the fields for those groups, and that's going to be the challenge that we'll meet for those. The Little League right now is following the same schedule as other youth sports, as well as lacrosse, youth lacrosse. They've been very helpful in keeping the people off the field. I think, the youth soccer program, which, makes quite a bit of money on the Memorial Day tournament, to help, they help, offset some of the costs of the field work that we do. That's, been a total loss for them. They've canceled their program. Right now, graduation has been canceled here. So the high school graduation, which is normally on my football field, has been canceled. So my football field should be in incredible shape by the time this whole thing should cease. But I really don't see it happening. And our concerns are, we also have 3, freshwater beaches that we don't even think those are going to be able to be open. Social distancing is very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's going to be met the challenge. The summer camp program, again, something that's probably not going to happen. Maybe in July, but what's happened now is our budgets have been frozen. So purchase orders over 500 are they have to be looked at very discreetly. Where anything under 500, repairs and things of my equipment are let go. But I've a couple purchase orders of a very large amount of money that are right now being held due to the lack of tax, the meals tax, the hotel tax, the lottery. All those things affect the budget. And as you and I know, we all budget on a yearly basis, figuring the tax receipts will come in, and those aren't coming in now. And that's why the big challenge of the budget has been made.
In terms of information sharing, what are you hearing from other field managers? What are the biggest questions you're getting, or what are you asking of others? And, or what advice do you have for others?
I think, well, we have peer-to-peer. I do a lot of contact with my other NESTMA members who are municipal, who are in the parks end of it. Some of them are parks or DPW, some have trees, some are tree wardens. So it's a variety, and some have cemeteries like me. So I think we all look at it from the big picture of, it's not just the fields, but it's the whole aspect of public parks and public recreation use. And they're all met with the same challenge. They're being told, some people stay home, some people come in, social distancing. I'm very lucky that I've been here 30 years now, that in the past, I've had good luck with getting vehicles and equipment. So I have enough equipment that I can almost give one vehicle per person. Should it come to, 14, individuals coming in, that includes my mowers, my large scale mowers, my, backhoe, things like that. So I can social distance that way. With the PPE products, we've been able to have our guys clean the doors, the seats, the steering wheel, any aspect of inside the truck. When they get out we give each person a truck for the week. They have their own tools. They clean those and put them all back at the end of the week. And then we start over with the next group. But there are some vehicles that don't get touched, so we're able to not have to do that. But that's the big thing on Fridays, is to make sure that the vehicle's clean, for the next person to get in.
I appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything I might not have touched on or anything else you wanted to share?
No, I think, there's a frustration level from a lot of us, because we're trying to do the best we can in these times. And I know probably throughout the country, the budgets are going to be very tight. And I just got my budget for next year yesterday, and I'm seeing where they're going to cut me. I normally, like I said, have, another, 16 employees, and they've cut that in half. And they've also cut the staff at the skating rink that I'm part of too. We have a rink. And my justification is, how can you cut back on the staff there if a sheet of ice is $230 and that person working that hour is only making $17 an hour? How do you justify cutting the staffing out of a skating rink? It's very difficult. So I think for a lot of us, there's that frustration of where the budget's going to be, how we're going to get there. But and the knowledge that we have is, people a lot of times, and we've all talked about this, people just think we grow grass, and there's a lot more to it than just growing grass and cutting it. That's the stigma that a lot of times taxpayers look at. And in recreation, as you know, in parks, and they're on the cutting block because it's kind of considered not a necessity, it's a luxury. And we hear it at the meetings, let's furlough people. It's why aren't we laying people off? And that's scary. Being a municipal employee right now is a great situation. Both myself and my wife, who's a teacher, even though she's teaching from home, we have steady income that way. My heart goes out to the people that I see on World News Tonight who trying to just feed their children, standing in those long lines, have been laid off. And that's, I think, the challenge that most of us need to see and understand, that we do the best we can. We come in, we work hard. We try to put on a great, we try to put on a great program for these people when they want to use our facilities. And that's the whole inkling for me, is to try to get that through to the people who are above me, that recreation parks and to be out there on these, as the winters turn to spring, and now spring going to summer, these people need to go somewhere. And that's going to be the difficult challenge. But we've done a lot, in the NESTMA group. We have the peer-to-peer conversations. We have a lot of input with our vendors. We have great vendors and a great support. Our management team is working to try to keep us all abreast on what others are doing, sort of like what you're trying to do here. We're trying to do that. We have an online meeting on May 6th for anybody who's in the NESTMA group to jump on like this, to voice their opinion, or just to see each other, because a lot of us won't see each other on our usual field day this year, which isn't going to happen. Arbor Day I have trees and I'm a certified arborist, but Arbor Day got canceled this year, which is usually a huge volunteer program. All the volunteer work that we've been able to do throughout the city of Framingham is basically is not there anymore. So all the planting islands, all those deltas, all those street corners that normally are taken care of by a lot of volunteers, it just doesn't exist anymore.
Well, again, I appreciate the time. I appreciate the insight and the information sharing, and hope to speak with you again real soon. So we'll probably be doing a follow-up on this soon, but thanks a lot.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, stay safe.
You too.
Thanks.